participate from online stream. Please clap your hands for our moderator, Ms. Premridi Dawrung, to moderate this session called From Mekong to Southeast Asia and Latin America, the comparative points and the future joint movement สวัสดียามบ่ายนะคะตอนนี้เราจะใช้เวลา3ชั่วโมงสำหรับเซสชั่นเรื่องจากแม่น้ำโขงสู่เอเชียตะวันออกเฉียงใต้และลาตินอเมริกาจุดเปรียบเทียบและการเคลื่อนไหวร่วมกันในอนาคตนะคะสิ่งที่จะเกิดขึ้นเดี๋ยวเรามีเซสชันนี้ก็จะเป็นจะมารับฟังประสบการณ์ในการต่อต้านเขื่อนพลังงานน้ำเพราะว่าประสบการณ์จากภูมิภาคลุ่มน้ำโขงเราจะได้ฟังประสบการณ์จากพี่น้องจากลุ่มน้ำโขงจากอินโดนีเซียแล้วก็จากลาตินอเมริกา
She would like to talk about what's happening with them on the hydropower dam. But before everything, I myself and Winnie here over big, and then Hendro Sankoyo, our friend, three of us will give you a very brief idea of what is going to happen. No? So basically, the discussion presentation going to divide into 3 parts. We will begin from the Mekong. We will start by showing 30 minutes documentary, which is a launching of the new documentary came out. This documentary produced by the group called EcoCupid and produced for the group called Ubon Monitoring Team on Mekong on the flood at Mekong Dam. So the Ubon Monitoring Team is the owner of this film, more or less, and they work very closely with our young producer. The 30 minutes of the film going to tell you most of the thing about what happened in the Mekong, starting from the history of the Pak Mun Dam, and then go to the dam that currently the Ubon people are fighting with called Pu Ngoi Dam. And because all of this, the documentary will tell most of the thing, our panelists from the Mekong will not talk again. After we finish the 30-minute film, we will invite 3 people to come up. It's Sotsai Sangsok from the coordinator of the Ubon Monitoring Team. The next person is Ma Buntan Peng Tham, the one who affected by the dam, but she lives in the flooded area in the province of Ubon Ratchathani. And the last person is our filmmaker, Brian Yong from Malaysia. So 3 of them will come up. We might allow Brian to say something, but Ma Buntan and Sotsai will just sit there to answer your question. And then we start some kind of the discussion about Mekong situation a little bit. And that's it for the Mekong part. Then we move to the Indonesia part. Yoyo, where are you? Yeah. อยู่ท่านนั้นเหรอคะ Yoyo, can you brief us about what's going to happen in the Indonesia part? Yes. Yeah.
Thank you. Could you please forward, started the slides, please? Jade, could you start? Okay. While waiting for the slides, good afternoon, everyone. There are 4 of us, the Indonesian delegates, and we would like to, in a very brief manner, actually, just to share the skeletal pictures of what the big damming means to the livelihoods of the islanders, but also for the integrity of the social ecological enclosures on its islands and also the coastal waters that surrounding the islands. Can you? Hello? Okay, there's still some technical problems. Sorry. Huh? Can please? What happened? Here. It's getting. Yes. Okay. Okay. Yes. Oh, okay. 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 So, sorry, Yang. Okay. So let me continue. And so basically, we follow very closely what's happened with the waterscapes in Indonesia. There are 98 major riverscapes in Indonesia. It's controlled by the Ministry of Public Works, actually. So we managed actually to dig into the critical data from 1984 until 2012. This,
After this is just a headline.
Yeah.
We come back.
yes, yes. So we'll can.
That's the framework of what the Indonesian team will speak, right?
Yeah, and what's coming after 2012 is getting worse, and it's mimicking what's happening in the Mekong. And so we will present briefly about this, and by nearing the end, we will share a bit about the indigenous knowledge systems. That's very, it's still a living knowledge for many different islands, big and small. How to take care of the waterscapes and water as creatures, actually. And so that's basically the outline.
Yeah. So last, Winnie, yeah, the Latin America part.
Hello, everyone. So Latin American part of this afternoon will have Leticia from the Brazilian movement of affected people by dams, and she will share with us a little bit about the story of this movement of people struggling together, and also about the international movement that the Brazilian movement is part of, international movement of people affected by dams and climate change, right? So Leticia will talk about that. I will also talk a little bit reflections on, in what ways can we connect the struggles here in the Mekong, in Indonesia, with Latin America, and how to build a stronger movement. That's it, yeah.
Thank you. So shall we start by showing our film, the Mekong Trap? I think our technical team, it has a little bit of the, one moment. Yes. Okay, so after the Latin America discussion or presentation, now we would like to open, right, for the discussion. So I have got the complaint from some of the Thai local community members that every time that I start to talk, you stop me. We never have enough time not to talk about our problem. So I hope today we would have more time for people to discuss. So everything that we are discussing we will discuss will be online, no? Because we do the live stream, including this 30-minute film. Is going to be shown in the live stream in the, we try to make it clear. So give us a few minutes for setting up. ระบบแปลโอเคใช่ไหมคะภาษาได้อยู่เนาะฟังได้อยู่ค่ะ
Electricity, an energy we rely on every second of our lives. It keeps our cities awake and lights up the world at night. But have you ever asked yourself, where does the energy that sustains your life truly come from? In Southeast Asia, the Mekong River has been chosen for hydropower dams, hailed as clean energy, a solution to the climate crisis, and the promise of progress. Yet, they leave fragility in their wake, blocking fish migrations, unraveling ecosystems, and altering the fate of over 60 million people who depend on this river.
จริงๆพี่ก็ตามเรื่องนี้มา20 ปีแล้วนะคะเราก็จะมีแผนที่แบบวางการผลิตไฟฟ้าเนี่ยล้นเกินมาตลอดจนถึงวันนี้เนี่ยสถานการณ์ปัจจุบันเนี่ยมีไฟฟ้าเหลือใช้ 40-50%
The website Just Pow pointed out that on the 6th of April 2024, Thailand's peak electricity demand reached 34,443 megawatts, a new record. However, this did not affect the system since the country has a total generation capacity of 49,571 megawatts, leaving a reserve margin as high as 43.9%, while the standard requirement is only at 15%. Having such an excessive reserve is not for free. The cost of overbuilt power plants is passed on to consumers through their electricity bills, particularly the FT, Fuel Adjustment Tariff. This is a major reason why electricity prices are higher than they should be.
เพราะว่าถ้าไฟฟ้าล้นเกินเนี่ยมันก็หมายถึงเราต้องจ่ายค่าไฟฟ้าเพิ่มขึ้นนี่คือสิ่งที่เราได้รับผลกระทบจากการคำนวณค่าไฟฟ้าที่มันล้นเกินความจำเป็น
Part of Thailand's electricity comes from hydropower dams in Laos. Several projects were built mainly for export, with over 90% of their output contracted to Thailand. Thai companies hold major stakes in many of these dams, and civil society reports note that a majority of large-scale export capacity is tied to the Thai grid.
แม่น้ำโขงเนี่ยก็เป็นหนึ่งในแม่น้ำสายสำคัญนะครับของโลกเลยนะครับเพราะว่าแม่น้ำที่ไหลจากข้างบนลงข้างล่างในลักษณะของเหนือลงทางใต้เนี่ยนะครับเช่นแม่น้ำโขงเนี่ยมันจะผ่านในส่วนของเส้นลัติจูดนะครับหลายๆเส้นเพราะฉะนั้นการผ่านเส้นลัติจูดหลายเส้นเนี่ยแปลว่ามันมีการผ่านลักษณะทางนิเวศนะครับหรือระบบนิเวศที่มีความหลากหลายทำให้แม่น้ำโขงเนี่ยเป็นหนึ่งในแม่น้ำที่มีความหลากหลายนะครับของชนิดพันธุ์สิ่งมีชีวิตไม่ใช่เฉพาะปลาแต่สิ่งมีชีวิตอื่นไม่ว่าจะเป็นพืชหรือสัตว์อื่นเนี่ยที่เราถือว่าเป็นจุดที่เราเรียกภาษาอังกฤษว่า hotspot ของโลก
Research has identified more than 20,000 plant species in the Mekong River Basin, along with over 450 species of mammals, 1,200 species of birds, and more than 800 species of reptiles and amphibians. Beneath its waters, the Mekong is a kingdom of fish, with more than 850 species confirmed, and an estimated total exceeding 1,200, especially in the lower Mekong Basin.
แต่ในทางทุกกรมวิธานนั้นเนี่ยในแม่น้ำโขงเนี่ยมีครอบครัวของปลานะครับซึ่งมีความหลากหลายชนิดเนี่ยเป็นอันดับหนึ่งในโลกผลผลิตปลานะครับรวมทั้งสัตว์น้ำอื่นโดยเฉพาะยิ่งการประมงน้ำจืดในแม่น้ำโขงเนี่ยก็อยู่ที่ประมาณ 1.2 ล้านตันต่อปีตัวเลข 1.2 ล้านตันต่อปีบอกว่านี่คือการประมงน้ำจืดที่ใหญ่ที่สุดในโลก
The life cycle of the Mekong fish to the river's seasonal flow. In the dry season, they shelter in deep pools, waiting for the rains when stronger currents signal their migration upstream to spawn. When floodwaters arrive, strong currents trigger spawning as juveniles drift into flooded forests and floodplains rich in food. This natural rhythm sustains the river's biodiversity. But when dams block the flow, fish reproduction and populations are directly disrupted.
เขื่อนก็จะมีผลกระทบนะครับในส่วนโดยตรงต่อวงจรชีวิตของปลานะครับมีผลกระทบโดยตรงต่อระบบนิเวศมีผลกระทบโดยตรงของแหล่งอาศัยในขณะที่นะครับผลกระทบส่วนอื่นตรงนี้เนี่ยไม่ว่าจะเป็นการทำลายล้างโลกร้อนการเปลี่ยนสภาพดินฝั่งหรือสัตว์น้ำต่างถิ่นอาจจะยังพอมีแนวทางบรรเทาที่ให้เห็นผลในระยะสั้นได้การเกิดเขื่อนนะครับโดยเฉพาะอย่างยิ่งทั้งในแม่น้ำโขงสายประทานเองหรือแม้กระทั่งในแม่น้ำสาขาเนี่ยนะครับก็จะทำให้การอพยพย้ายถิ่นของปลาเนี่ยก็อาจจะไม่มีลูกปลาหรือลูกสัตว์น้ำขึ้นมาทดแทนกับพวกที่ตายไป
The clearest lesson on the impacts of dam construction in Thailand is the Pak Mun Dam in Khongjiam District, Ubon Ratchathani. This 17-meter high concrete weir was built to generate 136 megawatts of hydropower, but it has become the most criticized dam in the country for blocking fish migration routes and disrupting local livelihoods. For over 30 years, villagers have fought to demand the opening of the dam's gates to restore the natural flow of water and the return of fish.
คอยย้อมเพื่อโขงเจียมเป็นต้นน้ำของแม่น้ำมูลขึ้นมาตามสายจากโขงขึ้นมาเป็นแหล่งทำมาหากินแต่กลับมาสร้างเขื่อนใส่หม่องนั่นว่าเป็นของเพิ่น
แก่งที่อยู่บ้านหัวเหวที่เราอยู่นั่งอยู่ตรงนี้เนี่ยมันเป็นการระเบิดหินลงไปอย่างมหาศาลนั่นคือเป็นทำลายเกาะแก่งถ้ำหินถ้ำน้ำหรือเป็นถ้ำที่เคยอยู่ของปลาที่เป็นแหล่งเพาะพันธุ์ปลาใหญ่ที่สุดตั้งแต่วันแรกมีการระเบิดเห็นชัดเจนปลาเน่าเฟะเหม็นคุ้งไหลลงสู่แม่น้ำโขงลงสู่ทะเลสาบเขมรแล้วก็ทำให้ปลาในทะเลสาบเขมรไม่กล้าขึ้นมาเพราะว่ามันโดนกลิ่นพักพวกมันไหลลงไปตามลำน้ำโขงมันรู้ว่ามันเกิดอะไรขึ้นครับพวกมันพักพวกมันที่อยู่ข้างบนเนี่ยมันก็เลยไม่อพยพเข้ามา ถ้ามีการกั้นยิ่งหนักไปอีกเพราะว่าทางเดินของปลาไม่มีแล้ว
เมื่อเขื่อนมาปุ๊บทีนี้การเปลี่ยนแปลงปลาลดน้อยลงในที่สุด 4-5 ปีสร้างเขื่อนเสร็จประมาณ9 ปี 10 ปีปลาไม่มีเลยเพราะอะไรเพราะมันขึ้นไม่ได้การสร้างเขื่อนปากมูลหรือเขื่อนที่ไหนก็แล้วแต่มันต้องทำลายพื้นที่ของปลาทำลายอะไรสิ่งแวดล้อมซึ่งเป็นถ้ำเป็นรากไม้เป็นเหวอะไรที่ปลาไปซุกตัวไปอยู่ตามธรรมชาติของเขาและอีกอย่างหนึ่งปลาแต่ละชนิดมันขึ้นไม่เหมือนกันมันหากินไม่เหมือนกันและปลาที่เป็นปลาเศรษฐกิจของชุมชนจริงๆแล้วมันเป็นปลาน้ำลึกฉะนั้นพอทำเขื่อนแล้วเขื่อนปากมูลก็ทำเป็นบันไดปลาโจรบอกว่าปลาทุกชนิดขึ้นได้ปลายี่ฉกอะไรขึ้นได้หมดเมื่อไปมีการพิสูจน์กันแล้วมันไม่ได้เป็นอย่างนั้นเพราะปลาที่หากินน้ำลึกบันไดปลาโจรแค่เม็ดเดียวน้ำมันไหลน่ะปลามันไม่ขึ้นถามว่ามีปลาขึ้นไหมบันไดปลาโจรมีแต่เป็นปลาชนิดที่หากินบนผิวน้ำนี่มันถึงทำให้ว่าปลาอยู่ข้างบนมันถึงไม่มีและปลาข้างล่างก็หายเหมือนกัน
สิ่งที่เรามีหลักฐานทางวิชาการจากที่ทีมศึกษาคือว่าปริมาณของสัตว์น้ำเนี่ยลดลงในเรื่องของจำนวนตัวและชนิดสายพันธุ์ของปลาหรือสัตว์น้ำเนี่ยลดลง
วันนี้เนี่ยคิดว่าสังคมไทยได้รับคำตอบชัดเจนว่าเขื่อนปากมูลไม่มีความคุ้มค่าเรื่องปลาเรื่องประมงเรื่องระบบนิเวศเกาะแก่งที่จมไปในพื้นที่จากน้ำท่วมของเขื่อนปากมูลเนี่ย36 แก่งอาชีพประมง 7,000 กว่าคนในพื้นที่ชุมชนที่อยู่ริมน้ำมูลก็หายไปแต่พอหลังจากเปิดเขื่อนเนี่ยชาวบ้าน 94% กลับมาทำงานกลับมาหาปลาคืออาชีพของเขาเนาะ
เพราะว่าเราเป็นคนทำมาหากินกับปลาอาชีพหาปลาเป็นอาชีพหลักแล้วเป็นอาหารด้วยถ้ามีปลาคือได้เงินถ้าจับปลาได้คือเป็นเงินเลยไม่เป็นเงินก็เป็นน้ำใจแลกเปลี่ยนกับเพื่อนบ้านมันเป็นวิถีชีวิตที่ไม่มีใครตีมูลค่ามันไม่ได้ฉะนั้นในการต่อสู้ของพวกเราคุ้มไหมถ้าเปิดเขื่อนถาวรคุ้มแน่นอนค่ะถ้าไม่มีเขื่อนเลยในลำน้ำโขงคุ้มแน่นอนค่ะมันถึงหยุดไม่ได้เพราะว่าเราวิถีชีวิตเราอยู่ตรงนี้เราต้องอยู่ตรงนี้ต้องสู้อยู่เรื่องนี้ให้คนในโลกได้เข้าใจกับเราว่าเราไม่ต้องการให้มีการปิดกั้นทางเดินของปลา
แก่งสะพือเนี่ยเป็นพื้นที่ที่ถ้าฤดูแล้งคนอุบลหรือว่าคนต่างถิ่นก็จะไปเล่นน้ำไปเล่นแก่งที่นั่น30 กว่าปีเปิดแข่งเมื่อ2 ปีที่แล้วนะคะปรากฏว่ามีรายได้เกิดขึ้นเกือบ300 ล้านอันนี้เป็นการศึกษาเป็นการรวบรวมข้อมูลของหอการค้าถามว่าเปิดเขื่อนแค่1 เดือนทำให้เศรษฐกิจฟื้นฟูรายได้ของคนอุบล300 กว่าล้านถ้าเทียบกับเขื่อนปากมูลเราลงทุนไป 6,600 ล้านบาท1 ปีผลิตไฟฟ้าได้จริง36 เมกะวัตต์รายได้90 กว่าล้านเกือบ100 ล้านมันไม่คุ้มค่าอยู่แล้วค่ะนี่ชัดเจนด้านเศรษฐกิจนี่ชัดเจนมากค่ะ
Beyond the impact on fish migration, the Pakmun Dam also serves as a lesson in another dimension.The recurring floods in Ubon Ratchathani, which have become increasingly severe, prolonged, and frequent.
อุบลเรามีสถานการณ์เรื่องน้ำท่วมซึ่งน้ำท่วมของเราชัดเจนว่าอุบลเราเป็นพื้นที่รับน้ำแล้วก็ทางที่จะไหลลงแม่น้ำเรารับน้ำจากมูลจากแม่น้ำชีใช่ไหมคะแล้วก็ทางที่จะไหลลงก็คือแม่น้ำโขงแต่ว่ามันปิดกั้นด้วยเขื่อนปากมูลถึงแม้เปิดประตูเขื่อนปากมูลแต่ว่าการไหลของน้ำมันก็ไม่สามารถไหลสะดวกแน่นอนว่ามันมีเหตุผลอื่นการพัฒนาเมืองนะความเจริญซึ่งมันก็ปิดกั้น พื้นที่กันไหลของน้ำมันก็ทำให้เมืองอุบลเกิดน้ำท่วมอย่างที่ไม่เคยท่วมมาก่อน
แต่ก่อนนี้พวกแม่อยู่นี่น้ำท่วมแป๊บเดียว2 อาทิตย์ก็ลงแล้วไม่ได้ย้ายของพอเขาทำเขื่อนมานี่แบบสูงเลยมิดหลังคาทุกปีบ้านก็พังทุกปี
น้ำท่วมสมัยก่อนเดือนเดียวพอเดือนเดียวมาเนี่ยน้ำก็จะลดลงตามธรรมชาติเพราะว่าไม่มีเขื่อนน้ำมาน้ำก็ไปการประกอบอาชีพเราก็ไม่ได้สะดุดอะไรคือเราทำอาชีพได้ตามปกติเพราะว่าไม่ได้นานเราสามารถหากินได้เหมือนเดิมเทียบกับตอนนี้คือมันคนละขั้วแล้วก็ความรุนแรงเพิ่มขึ้น
ค่ะอันนี้ก็คือปี65นะน้ำจะท่วมขึ้นข้างบนนี่ดินมันก็จะทรุดลงเพราะว่าเราเอาดินทำใช่ไหมความเสียหายมันก็เยอะตอนนี้เราก็ไม่มีงบจะมาซ่อม
บ่อยก็เดี๋ยวเขามาเอาตังค์มาให้เรามันก็ไม่พอซ่อมหรอกมันเป็นราคาแม่เนี่ยถ้าเปลี่ยนเนี้ยก็เป็น10,000เนี่ยแล้วตังค์ที่ไหนล่ะมาให้ 3,000 4,000 บางคนก็ได้ 2,000 นึงมาเปลี่ยนมันก็ไม่ได้
คือผู้ลังคนเขาก็เลยกลายเป็นว่าบ่อยากบูรณะบ่อยากซ่อมแซมโอ้ยน้ำก็มาท่วมอีก2 เดือนที่เฮาอยู่นี่เนาะ1เฮาก็ขาดรายได้เป็นหนี้ซ้ำหนี้ซ้อนอยู่เพราะนั้นยืมก่อนเฮาสิออกไปอยู่ทางนอกนี่เฮาก็ต้องไปยืมเงินดอก120เขาอยู่แล้วเฮาขนย้ายแต่ละเที่ยวนี่ก็ต้องใส่เงินมันจะเป็นหนี้ซ้ำหนี้ซ้อนอยู่จังซี่ล่ะพี่น้องเฮา
จากที่เราไม่ได้เสียค่าใช้จ่ายค่าเรือเราก็ต้องจ่ายค่าเรือเพราะว่าเขาไม่มีเรือการไปมาการสัญจรนี่ลำบากเพราะว่ามีทั้งคนทำงานมีทั้งนักเรียนแม่ค้าพ่อขายอะไรประมาณนี้เราต้องใช้เรืออย่างเดียวไม่สามารถใช้อย่างอื่นได้เพราะว่าน้ำท่วมสูงอย่างคนที่เคยไปทำงานก็อาจจะได้กลับมาดูบ้านเพราะว่าต้องเที่ยวดูเพราะว่าอาจจะมีโจรมีขโมยอาจจะมาลักเอาของเราอะไรประมาณนี้เพราะว่าไม่ได้ขนไปหมด
พ่อต้องตะกายกับกำแพงลวดหนามของสหกรณ์เข้ามาจากไอ้ไฟแดงเนี่ยมันเป็นภาพจำที่มันพูดไม่ออก คือพ่อแกก็จะป่วยอยู่แล้วไงเพิ่งไปบรรลุหัวใจมาเราก็ไม่คิดว่าน้ำมันจะท่วมเยอะใช่ไหมแกก็ไม่แข็งแรง
According to the account of Jamnong, advisor to the Ubon Ratchathani Community Disaster Prevention Volunteer Network, urban poor communities in Ubon Ratchathani and Warin face recurring floods each year, a burden that weighs heavily on more than 10,000 people living in over 30 settlements. Without land titles or secure tenure, many communities such as in Kitgeo, Tabungmang, and Hat Swansuk have been evicted, leaving residents vulnerable not only to natural disasters, but also to the constant threat of losing their homes. Major flooding in 2022 impacted many people, as reports suggest up to 70,000 households, and the damage is estimated to exceed 1 billion baht.
อย่างเขื่อนปากมูลที่สร้างเนี่ยผลิตไฟไม่ถึง100 ล้านแต่เป็นตัวสำคัญที่ทำให้น้ำท่วมนานแล้วสูญเสียไป1,000 กว่าล้านวงจรแต่ละปีน้ำท่วมพอเดือนธันวาน้ำแห้งก็ต้องฟื้นฟูพอฟื้นฟูมกราคมกุมภาพันธ์มีนาเมษาพฤษภาฝนมาแล้วยังฟื้นฟูไม่เสร็จน้ำท่วมใหม่เนี่ยมันยังแก้ไขไม่ทันนะเพราะนั้นก็เลยกลายเป็นความจนซ้ำซากเป็นวิกฤตเลยของคนอุบล
For over 3 decades, Pakmun Dam has been criticized and opposed by affected communities in Ubon Ratchathani. Recently, in January 2022, an environmental impact assessment draft was released for a proposed hydropower project on the Mekong River called Pungoi Dam. On its very first page, the developer is revealed to be a Thailand-registered company called Charun Energy and Water Asia Company Limited. It was mentioned that Pungoi Dam is positioned 18 kilometers downstream of Pakse town in Champasak province of Laos and 70 kilometers downstream of Pak Mun Dam.
กรณีน้ำท่วมเนี่ยเราได้เห็นความสัมพันธ์ของมูลกับแม่น้ำโขงในปีที่แม่น้ำโขงสูงน้ำที่ท่วมในอุบลเนี่ยมันจะไหลต่อให้เปิดเขื่อนปากมูลนะคะน้ำก็จะยังไหลลงแม่น้ำโขงช้าเพราะว่าน้ำโขงดันอยู่แต่ถ้าปีไหนที่น้ำโขงต่ำกว่าแม่น้ำมูลมันก็จะทำให้การไหลจากน้ำในอีสานเนี่ยไหลไปได้เร็วเราก็คิดว่าอ้าวตายแล้วขนาดยังไม่มีเขื่อนภูงอยคนอุบลยังประสบปัญหากับเรื่องการบริหารจัดการเขื่อนในประเทศไทยเนี่ยพี่คิดบอกว่าล้มเหลวนะคะและถ้ามีเขื่อนภูงอยมาซ้ำมันก็จะยิ่งซ้ำเติม
ทีนี้ถ้าเราเทียบจากข้อมูลที่ผมไปเก็บข้อมูลเนาะจากข้อมูลน้ำของ MRC ก็ดีนะครับเทียบระหว่างสถานีโขงเจียมกับสถานีที่ปากเซเนี่ยเราก็เห็นว่าระดับน้ำโดยทั่วไปในหน้าฝนนะครับก็จะต่างกันอยู่ประมาณ4 เมตรกว่าๆนะครับถ้าเกิดมีการสร้างเขื่อนภูงอยเนาะที่ระดับที่เขาบอกว่าระดับเก็บกัก98 เมตรเหนือระดับน้ำทะเลเนี่ยก็มีโอกาสที่จะทำให้น้ำที่บริเวณปากมูลหรือว่าท้ายเขื่อนปากมูลนะครับที่อำเภอโขงเจียมสูงขึ้นได้ถึง102นะบวกอีก4เนาะในความเป็นผมเนาะซึ่งอันนี้ก็อาจจะไม่ยืนยันหรอกครับก็อาจจะต้องมีการศึกษาที่ชัดเจนอีกครั้งหนึ่งเนาะ
ในส่วนของเขื่อนภูงอยเหมือนกับกรณีเดียวกับเขื่อนปากแดงนะครับตัวที่เรากังวลก็คือการที่เกิดน้ำเทอะนะครับเพราะในกรณีภูงอยก็ดีหรือปากแดงก็ดีเนี่ยเราก็จะเหมือนเป็นส่วนของต้นน้ำที่จะไหลลงไปยังตัวสันเขื่อนเพราะฉะนั้นน้ำเทอะขึ้นมาในบริเวณที่เก็บกักก็จะมีผลทำให้ระบบนิเวศซึ่งเคยเป็นน้ำไหลปกตินะครับก็ไหลช้าหรือเกือบนิ่งลองจินตนาการแม่น้ำไหลมาปกติครับมีอะไรมาขวางก็ทำให้ไหลช้าลงใช่ไหมครับถึงจะมีการปล่อยน้ำไปแต่การปล่อยน้ำไปก็ขึ้นอยู่กับว่าตัวเขื่อนเนี่ยจะมีการบริหารจัดการน้ำอย่างไรพอมาเจอตัวสันเขื่อนปั๊บน้ำก็เทอะขึ้นมาพอเทอะขึ้นมาเป็นระยะทางนะครับก็มีแนวโน้มว่าน้ำที่เทอะขึ้นมาก็จะครอบคลุมหรือกินพื้นที่นะครับจนเลยในส่วนของบริเวณปากแม่น้ำมูลการเทอะกลับเข้ามาในแม่น้ำมูลนะครับก็อาจจะมีข้อกังวลในเรื่องของว่าแก่งตะนะนะครับซึ่งเป็นแหล่งพื้นที่แหล่งอาศัยที่สำคัญของปลาและสัตว์น้ำเนี่ยมันจะได้รับผลกระทบอย่างไร
According to the EIA of the Pumai Dam, the rising water level from the project is expected to directly affect Keng Tana National Park in Thailand, a site where over 68 plant species and 78 small wildlife species have been recorded. The park is also home to Keng Tana Rapids, a vital habitat for fish and a valuable natural tourism destination.
แก่งตะนะซึ่งต้องบอกว่ามันมีความสำคัญนะคะว่าทำไมปลาแม่น้ำโขงมันถึงเลี้ยวเข้ามาในแม่น้ำมูลเพราะอะไรก็เพราะว่าระบบน้ำกระแสน้ำจากแก่งเนี่ยมันทำให้เกิดการพัดที่ทำให้กระแสน้ำมูลกับน้ำโขงมันต่างกันมันก็ทำให้ปลามันเดินทางเข้ามาวางไข่ที่แม่น้ำมูลอันนี้เราสูญเสียการประเมินค่ามันแต่ว่าไม่มีในงาน EIA ค่ะ
Another impact not clearly assessed in the EIA is the fate of villages along the Thai-Laos border, which could be directly affected by the construction of the Pungoi Dam, both environmentally and in the daily lives of riverside communities. This includes Winbuk Village, a Bru ethnic settlement, which is the closest Thai village to the planned dam site.
เขาเวิร์นบึกนี่เขาเป็นชนชาติพันธุ์เผ่าบรูครับอาศัยทำไร่อย่างเดียวนะครับในสมัยย้อนหลังที่มาอยู่2457เขาชอบภูเขาสูงคือกลุ่มชาติพันธุ์นี่เขาจะชอบแบบนั้นนะครับพวกผมก็ทำไร่นะครับทำไร่ตามภูเขาอยู่ตามภูเขาแต่พอฤดูการทำไร่หมดก็ลงมาอยู่บ้านคือแต่ก่อนเราทำไร่ลูกหลานเราตัวเล็กๆก็ขึ้นไร่แบกกระผ้าแบกกระยังช่วยพ่อแม่เอาข้าวโพดเอาอะไรขึ้นลงมาขายมาแลกข้าวกินในสมัยก่อนแต่เมื่อมันทำไม่ได้ก็ต้องหันเข้าไปขายแรงงานและเวิร์นบึกเมื่อสร้างเกินภูงอยและถามว่ามีความกังวลไหมก็กังวลแน่นอนและผมก็คิด เต็ม100%เลยว่าถ้าเกิดภูงอยเกิดขึ้นเนี่ยนะพวกผมก็เป็นเช่นเดียวกับเขื่อนปากมูลที่อยู่ข้างบนเหมือนเมืองอุบลไปที่เคยทำเคยจับได้ก็จะหมดสภาพไปโดยปริยายครับ
เพราะนั้นคนที่อยู่ตามลุ่มน้ำชาวบ้านที่อยู่ที่นี่เนี่ยเขาเรียนรู้การอยู่ในช่วงฤดูน้ำหลากเขารู้ว่าเขาจะวางแผนการผลิตปลูกข้าวทำปอตอนไหนน้ำจะมาตอนไหนเขาคำนวณได้แต่พอมีเขื่อนปากมูลเนี่ยมีเขื่อนจีนที่น้ำสูงขึ้นน้ำลงเนี่ยมันไม่เป็นตามธรรมชาติเนี่ยวิถีดั้งเดิมวิถีของชาวบ้านตามธรรมชาติมันคำนวณไม่ได้เพราะฉะนั้นเนี่ยนี่คือความสัมพันธ์ที่เขื่อนภูงอยมันจะส่งผลต่อน้ำท่วมแน่นอนจากที่พื้นที่ไม่เคยท่วมมันก็จะท่วมจากที่มันเคยไหลมันก็จะไหลไปไม่ได้สิ่งต่อมาก็คือว่าน้ำจากในอุบลเนี่ยที่น้ำท่วมอยู่แล้วเนี่ยจะไหลลงแม่น้ำโขงไม่ได้ไหลลงทะเลไม่ได้ไหลลงทะเลสาบเขมรไม่ได้มันไม่ใช่แค่น้ำของเราแต่ว่าน้ำจากจีนด้วยถามว่าจีนที่น้ำโขงที่ไหลมานี่ไอ้ที่เราท่วมอยู่ขึ้นลงจากเขื่อนจีนจากเขื่อนลาวเขื่อนสยบุรีเนี่ยมันก็จะไหลลงแม่น้ำโขงไม่ได้เหมือนกันอันนี้คือปัญหาที่จะเกิดขึ้นว่าเขื่อนภูงอยจะปิดกั้นมันเหมือนจะเป็นการปิดกั้นทวารไม่ให้ทั้งน้ำแต่ให้ทั้งป่าไหลขึ้นไหลลงนี่คือปัญหาที่จะเกิดขึ้น
ลำพังแค่เขื่อนปากมูลเราก็ได้รับผลกระทบมากอยู่แล้วทางออกของน้ำมันนิดเดียวแล้วก็อีกอย่างถ้าหากมีเขื่อนภูงอยทีนี้เขื่อนปากมูลก็อาจจะอยู่ไม่ได้เราก็จะมีการท่วมนานขึ้นจาก3 เดือนอาจจะเป็น5 เดือน6 เดือนซึ่งการดำรงชีพของเรานี่ต้องเสียหายมากแล้วก็ได้รับผลกระทบที่กว้างชาวบ้านซึ่งจนอยู่แล้วก็อาจจะมีความจนมากขึ้นแทบจะไม่ได้ทำมาหากิน
วิถีชีวิตพวกแม่อยู่นี่แล้วไงพ่อแม่ปู่ย่าตายายอยู่แล้วเราจะย้ายไปไหนเราจะไปอยู่ที่อื่นก็ไม่ได้เพราะว่าเราไม่มีเงินเราเป็นคนจนเราเป็นคนจนเมือง
แล้วถามว่ามันคุ้มค่าไหมมันจำเป็นไหมก็อย่างที่บอกตั้งแต่ตอนแรกว่าไฟฟ้าเราล้นเกิน 3,500 เมกะวัตต์ไม่ซื้อไฟฟ้าไม่สร้างเขื่อนใหม่ในลาวเราก็ไม่ได้รับผลกระทบใดๆจากการผลิตไฟฟ้าในประเทศไทยจากการใช้ไฟฟ้าในประเทศไทยเรามาพัฒนาเรามาส่งเสริมให้ชาวบ้านได้เข้าถึงไฟฟ้าหมุนเวียนโดยเฉพาะเรื่องแสงอาทิตย์ซึ่งมันถูกกว่าเขื่อนยิ่งพัฒนาเรื่องพลังงานแสงอาทิตย์ยิ่งถูกกว่าเขื่อนเราเห็นด้วยว่ามันจะต้องมีการสำรองแต่วิธีการสำรองมันจะต้องดูความคุ้มค่าเราเสนอว่าคุณจะต้องมีการทบทวนการสร้างเขื่อนที่ผ่านมาไอ้ที่สร้างไปแล้วเนี่ยมันไม่คุ้มค่าก็ต้องยกเลิก
300 of the 357 dams on Chishuihe, also known as the Red River, had been dismantled by the end of December 2024.
And the U.S. Secretary of the Interior to celebrate the agreement to remove 4 dams on the Klamath River.
หลายประเทศก็มีการทุบเขื่อนทิ้งเหมือนกันเพราะปัญหาจากการมันได้ไฟฟ้าไม่คุ้มกับที่การสูญเสียระบบนิเวศ
การที่คุณสร้างเขื่อนแล้วก็ทำให้วิถีชีวิตของผู้คนเป็นหลายล้านคนอาจได้อยู่หรือเปล่าเนี่ยครับ
เพราะฉะนั้นเนี่ยจะบอกว่าไฟฟ้าไม่เพียงพอใช่แต่ว่าเราก็มีช่องทางมีทางเลือกที่จะได้พลังงานผลิตไฟฟ้าหมุนเวียนมาใช้แต่ว่าระบบของการได้มาก็จะต้องเป็นระบบที่โปร่งใสให้ชาวบ้านมีส่วนร่วมเพื่อที่จะได้บอกว่าเป็นพลังงานสะอาดที่แท้จริง
Hello ขอบคุณมากค่ะ Thank you very much and let me introduce the people behind the film to the on the stage three of them Brian Yong ค่ะ please สดใสค่ะสดใสสร้างโศกแม่บุญทันค่ะ from อุบลราชธานีเชิญค่ะแม่บุญทันค่ะ Yes Brian there
ตรงนี้ได้แม่
ค่ะแม่เชิญค่ะ Brian ทางโน้นอ๋อ Can I ask for another big hands for all of them? Thank you. ก็ขอบคุณมากนะคะ I think actually if we have 3 hours for this session, no, the Mekong have to spend the first hours, and because we have 15 minutes late, so maybe we claim that we have about 15-20 minutes, no, to go. I think, as I told you before, we are not going to speak anymore, but we will be very welcome the questions or any additional opinion from you. But before that, I would like to spend time with Brian a little bit because you are the one who haven't been talking a lot, and I think definitely even the voice of this film is Brian's voice. So he's exactly very much behind the whole works of this very good 30-minute film. So Brian, can I ask you simply, what did you learn? What was your most important, learning experience making this Mekong trap film? Yeah.
Hello, thank you. Thank you for watching the documentary. I'm Brian, and thank you, Mel, for giving the opportunity to do this story for the people. So thank you for letting us do the story. And I want to also mention that this is not my own effort. This is the effort of EcoCupid and the team behind EcoCupid who made this possible. So really appreciate everyone who helped us create this story. And I've already said my part of the story in the documentary because me and my team, we went to observe what happened in Ubon Ratchathani to see what is actually happening to the people affected by the dams and what may happen if a new dam is constructed. So this is our way of sharing what we observe and what we feel when we listen to the stories of other people.
Thank you. As a young team members, actually, EcoCupid is a very young team, and I think, of course, for all of us, for everyone's learning process, working together. แม่บุญทันสดใส herself, so not only being in the film but also helping in the process of making the film. แม่บุญทันอาจจะอยากพูดอะไรนิดหน่อยสำหรับหนังเรื่องนี้ค่ะเชิญค่ะ
ค่ะสวัสดีค่ะคือทางชุมชนแต่ก่อนก็ยังไม่ค่อยได้ทำนะคะพอมีน้องเข้ามาช่วยนะคะไบอันมาช่วยเขามาสอนเทคนิคค่ะเทคนิคในการทำสื่อนะคะซึ่งพวกแม่แต่ก่อนก็ทำอยู่แต่อาจจะยังไม่มีเทคนิคไม่มีมุมกล้องอะไรต้องทำยังไงอะไรพอดีได้ทางน้องไบรอันนะคะมาช่วยสอนช่วยบอกว่าเราต้องถ่ายอย่างนี้มุมกล้องต้องเป็นแบบนี้ก็เลยจำค่ะทีนี้พวกแม่จำพอถ่ายรูปมาต้องดูแล้วว่าเราต้องอยู่ตรงไหนซึ่งเป็น
in the film, I can say like we get the very good chance from Brian and team, and we use the knowledge, the technique that we learn from you in our current livelihoods as well. So thank you so much that you taught us and we get to learn. I would like to say thank you, Brian and Min, so much that you came to the area to document the film. And I think this film can reflect well, can communicate all key issues, including the all issues or challenges or problems. And the picture in this film is very beautiful. Actually, we was facing some exciting as well. When we went to the field, there was the conflict in the conflict, and the Thai state did not allow us to use the drone. So immediately, once we could get the permit to use the drone to film, and Brian went to that area at Gang Sapu area. And immediately after he started using the drone, the police office, the policeman came, and in the minute that the drone flying back to the hands of Brian, that moment the policeman appeared. If we had to pay the fine, it means if we got arrested, we had to go to pay the fine at the court. And Brian asked the foreigner, yes, that moment we felt very straight. And the other day, I got the calling from the people from the army. I felt so straight, but the message from the one who called me, he told me like, thank you so much that you send the special food to us now to the border. I would like to say thank you so much to Brian and Min. ตอนนี้นะคะเปิดเวทีค่ะ So now we open the floor. Whatever for all participants here, we have around 10 minutes for sharing question and answer and exchange experience. As here we have a villager from Ubon Ratchathani and from Pak Moon as well. If anyone would like to ask questions or additional. Yes, I had experience about producing the film, the documentary film before, and for this time, I would like to say thank you to all trainers that you know this documentary film is very good, very professional. Thank you, Brian, so much that you provide support to villagers to be able to document by filming. Superb, great, brilliant. Thank you so much. From watching the documentary film, I see the connections about the very expensive cost of electricity and the flooding caused by the dams. Before, when we were talking about these two issues in social media, like the general people in the society, they segregate those two issues. But and when the public talk about people affected by the flooding, these issues were segregated or separated. But this film can show us, we can see the linkage of the expensive electricity fee and the dam. So now we can say directly, communicate directly that the dam is the reason why electricity fee is very expensive and the dam caused the flooding. Can we say like that? Yes, I think in that 30 minutes of the documentary film, I said clearly that everything is related in the same story, no? Expensive electricity fee and flooding impact of the dam is the same thing, cannot separate it. People may see the dam as like not about their life, but actually now the dam is about all Thai citizens because the tax from Thai people go to kind of support the dam project in some way, and because we pay the electricity bill and our money that we pay to the electricity bill go to support these dams. Whenever we did the protest and show our opposing the dam, but the Thai authority, they always explain please wait. It means this is kind of a strategy plan. The people have to get the chance to take the clean participation to management and make decisions about this project of electricity generation through the dam. Please feel free to share. We may listen some sharing from Pak Moon's community member. I'm from Assembly of the Poor, Pak Moon community. I can say that this documentary film is very good because it's very reflect the real situation and the problem caused by Pak Moon Dam. This film can narrate, can communicate the severe damage due to the blasting, the rapids and the island. Because the rapids, the island in the river were the place that the fish could take a rest during migration. When the fish migrate to the upper stream because they need to take a rest. So after the blasting, the rapids, after blasting those small islands, fish had nowhere to rest during the migration. And if we have more dam in the river, the damage will be more and more. We want to voice to the government because we have been fighting for so long time, over 30 years already, against them. So far, we have not yet received the compensation. The discord that they said, they replied us that, oh, you people, you got the compensation already. Why you continue protest? Because the discourse or the advertisement when they build the dam, they said the dam would be able kind of to continue allow the fish to migrate normally. But the compensation that we got in the past, it was the compensation after the blasting in the river, but currently the damage still happening. We have not yet get any compensation for the current damages to our livelihood. There is the long list of the damages against our livelihood. Not only my home, not only our community, but is put the severe impact to very wide. And I can say that this documentary film can reflect very good about the livelihood of the local people and the fisher folk. Thank you so much. I would like to share with everyone here that regarding the flooding, we cannot continue staying in our own homes, but we need to migrate to stay at the emergency shelter. But you know, even we did not stay at our house during the flooding area, but we still need to pay the electricity bill. Even we did not stay at our house. Even we can pay for installment pay, they never reduced the cost of electricity for us. For example, if the full bill costs 5,000 baht, we have to pay the full cost of 5,000 baht. And currently, like, I don't know how did they calculate the electricity bill, because we so far like in those 3 months that we were staying in the emergency shelter during the flooding, we had to pay the electricity bill for those all 3 months. That was the problem. That is the problem that cannot be solved yet. Since I was a little girl, so far now you can see my gray hair. The situation still the same, nothing solved. Flooding problem still be. I'm not sure whether any governmental authority, how will you solve the problem? How will you improve our livelihood? ขอบคุณค่ะคิดว่าตอนนี้เวลาของเราหมดแล้วนะคะงั้นจะขออนุญาตอีกหนึ่งความเห็นค่ะ Okay, this is the last chance. One last chance question before we move to hear the stories from Indonesia. Actually, now I know that after lunch, people may feel sleepy. If you get the pillow, you will go to sleep. Any idea else? Okay, so I would like to suggest. Okay, after this, please feel free to. If you want to talk with Brian, Sotsai, and Meh Buntam, please feel free to talk with them. And Brian, will you?
I think we can.
ผมคิดว่าเราสามารถ
We screen it during the screening session.
Okay ค่ะก็อาจจะ maybe we can spend some time talking to our friends here นะ the Mekong team and also Brian. Thank you once again to everyone. ขอบคุณมากค่ะนะคะคุยกันนอกรอบเนาะค่ะ Thank you and please our Indonesian team please Yoyo and I think 4 of us no from Indonesia. Yeah. And I think I'll pass the microphone to our friend Hendro Sangkoyo. He will be the moderator of this session.
Good afternoon, dear friends. Let me see if the slides are ready. So there are 4 of us. I also serve as the moderator for the question and answers. Before we move towards the slides, let me introduce who we are. Immediately on my right is Sudirman from Ciliwung Institute. Ciliwung is the largest river that cut across the capital city of Jakarta, but it's got a long way to the mountains in the south. And he's been very active in linking up the indigenous knowledge systems about waterscapes, particularly riverscapes. And then this is Teresia Jari from East Kalimantan. She's been working with the Punan and Kenya people. They are riverine communities in the border between East and Northern Kalimantan that face very formidable threats from huge dam projects in the rivers of Kayan and Mentarang. And finally, Merah Juansah is from the Nugal Institute, both of them actually, who also work with the my school, School of Democratic Economics, in trying to build up and consolidate resistance against the privatizations of water and all sorts of attack towards the waterscapes as the critical ecological infrastructures of the islanders' life space. Okay, so let me just briefly give the overall pictures of what we are facing in Indonesia. These are more or less the blocks is actually the what we call historical social ecological enclosures. We have 17,000 islands altogether. And since 2007, actually, we work directly on invitations with the islanders from the westernmost, this is the Mentawai Islands, Sumatra, all the way to West Papua on the east. Next. Next, please. Okay. This is actually the give very vivid pictures of how the whole state systems, the technocracy, all these the financial engines behind this development push, the World Bank included and all that, and over the past 3 decades, more or less, this is how we sacrifice. We, of course, we are not included, but how the state managers sacrifice both the terrestrial and the aquatic and marine parts of the islands. Just give an examples. For Kalimantan, the whole area is more than 500,000 square kilometers, and about 1/3 of Kalimantan is actually being sacrificed for extractivisms, including coal, for example, and more energy projects. So this is like the descriptions, and we calculated for every island and with an update on a yearly basis. Next, please. Between 1984 to 2012, actually, we tried to keep track on how the waterscapes are crumbling. And this is actually based on the real data from the Ministry of Public Works that we managed to get. So it's a very dramatic progress in the bankruptcy of the riverscapes or the waterscapes. In 1984, there are 29 out of 89 waterscapes being declared bankrupt or near bankrupt. But in 2012, actually, it's becoming almost probably more than 75% of our national waterscapes are being declared actually in extremely bad conditions. This is the real situations. But after that, interestingly, the government sort of pushing the idea of more and more dam constructions in the push for more electricity generations. Next, please. This is actually part of a video because it's a PDF we cannot see. The whole riverscape here is actually biologically dead. And so one other threats to the rivers that actually is the life of the people, it's like the blood vein of the peoples, is from the drainage and effluence of oil palm plantations. This is in central parts of the Mahakam life space in Kalimantan. This is all biologically dead, no fish, no nothing, and so it's very difficult situations, particularly to get clean water for the whole riverine communities there. Next, please. And this is actually in central Kalimantan. It relates to what Winnie mentions earlier about the carbon offset and carbon tradings in Indonesia. This is part of the peat wetlands and rivers in central Kalimantan. The whole area is actually being captured and grabbed as corporate concessions of carbon stock in a sense, and they sell the carbon, of course, to the biggest carbons like Shell, ExxonMobil, and all that. Next, please. In the name of energy transitions and the move towards the electrifications of the transport system, the electric vehicles and all that, basically the whole eastern Indonesian islands are now turned into mega nickel mining complex. And what it means to the rivers, the waters becoming blood red, almost throughout the regions here, because we have the largest nickel laterite deposits in the world. Second is the Philippines. So this is the situations. And so it's very complex threats to the life of people that's really completely dependent on the flow of the rivers. Next, please. This is actually circle diagrams of, we try to compare what the meanings of having the dirtiest source of energy like coal and oil and gas with the sort of clean, renewable and green energy like geothermal and hydropower and all that. You see here actually the devastations, the damage that come from these kind of cleaner energy is actually comparable, and sometimes actually it's worse than what we have so long with coal and oil and gas. Also, all of this new energy is being pushed for endless maximizations of energy consumptions. Thanks for the video later. We also have the same very interesting issue. Last year, actually, it's been declared that the total electricity supply, nationally speaking, is actually twice what is needed at the peak load nationally. And it comes with it all the emissions from the coal-fired power plants and all that. Next, please. This is part of the dead rivers, and with it, actually, it kills the basis, the material basis for a local and indigenous solidarity economy, because the fish and all that are gone. Next, please. Very interestingly, numerous islands, numerous islanders in the millions, actually it's not really depending completely on electricity like what we have generally, in quotes. And so these two women actually are friends. This auntie is from the island of Sibrut in Mentawai Islands, and the other one is Rote in the Lesser Sunda Islands. And on the right is actually the fruit is called nitas, that if you put it like a skewers, you can light it up, and people, school kids and all that, actually, it's been accustomed until now, still using it as lighting in night. And so the idea of islanders' diurnal rhythms, night and day isolate, is not completely saturated with electricity. So it's sometimes surprising, and it's also comparable with the Kapur tribes in Brazil, for example, that also got very similar stories. Next. Okay, this is in the Mentawai. This is the last introductory slides. So the waterscapes actually is the life space of women. And so if a mother, just deliver the baby, then for a week, the mother or the grandmother will, stay in the water, only going up for lunch and all that. And that's the tradition, for example. And it's all now being destroyed by different kind of projects, including roads and all that. Next. Okay, let me give the mic to Merah.
Okay, so this is historical and politics and economics period. So the destruction of Kalimantan Island is not only in this time, but also already have a long time period since 1750s. But the important things is, of course, in our lifetime now, we are facing on this picture not only oil palm plantation, but also coal mining industries, and now the new green industrial park, and of course the new capital city relocation from Jakarta to Kalimantan, who become like urban industrial attracted to another kind of exploitation. Next. We try to see and operating and see more to the crucial situation of the at least nine watershed, important watershed in Kalimantan. Only one from the watershed is healthy. Another is on the very bankruptcy situation. Next. So this is Kalimantan. Kalimantan is the third largest island on earth. The post-colonial capital expansion since the onset of the Suharto regime has been fully responsible for the forest and waterscape destruction. This is an aerial view of a segment of the Mentarang River. You can see the tunnel, the new tunnel for the hydropower plant. This is the current situation now in the Mentarang River. And not only that, if you see on the right picture, this is the Kayan River. The Kayan and the Mentarang River have been the home for the major riverine people, particularly for the Punan and the Kenyah people, the Dayak, Punan and Kenyah people, indigenous people, who settled for 6,000 years ago. All this is going to vanish in the face of the two big dams, which will supply a total of 10.7 gigawatt of electricity for export and also for some project related to the industrial park. So no more dense forest there. Hundreds of the rapids, who very vital for the life of the fish, sustain sediments, transport, hunting tracks, and the like, will be gone. And if you see on the right on the top, so all of the electricity will supply the biggest green industrial projects there. So the major players in these giga projects, including Sinohydro, Singsan Group, Adaro Energy, Sarawak Energy, and IGAT, because IGAT of Thailand have 11 point Adaro Energy shareholder. This is an example from us, example of the Indonesian fact green industrial projects. Next. I will pass to Tere to explain.
Okay, I will start with the important word from the Punan indigenous people. Lunang telang otah ine. The Punan women perceive the forests and the river that flow through the dam as mother breast milk. The women are the guardians to people's knowledge and the indigenous food regime. Women get connected to nature through, for example, the sago palms. They have meticulous understanding of the which species and which part of the sago palm serve the consumer in post-pasture setting. The damming of the Mentarang and the Kayan is district a treat. Sorry.
Can you move back? Okay. Okay.
Okay. The damming of the Mentarang and the Kayan is a district treat to the production of such long-standing historical knowledge. The forests along the river bank of the Mentarang and the Tubuh tributary provide dozens of nutritious food for river fish. The piri flower is one of them. Together with the despairing rapids, the piri will also be gone. The oldest first shelters of the Kayan and the Mentarang are the Punan, but the people inherit and the legacy continue to push a semi-nomadic forest and riverine mode of the until now. There are 35 rapids, or they call jiram, with a short 4.5 kilometer of the upstream Tubuh tributary. This particular dangers of this name is jiram seratap. The jirams are the spot of hatching, such a vital part of the reproduction of fishes. Some species, such as pelian or dewa is fish can only live in the endless and the tributary jirams.
Thank you, Tara. And now, please, Sudirman. Next, please.
My English is not good. Mr. Yo help me to translate.
Okay.
I use Indonesia.
Okay.
Saya dari Sungai Ciliwung, punya dengan kawan-kawan kearifan pengetahuan asli Sungai Ciliwung itu budaya Sunda.
Okay, I'm actually from Ciliwung Institute, and we've been for quite a long time with friends who we work together to understand and to dig into the indigenous knowledge systems about the rivers.
Dalam kepercayaan Sunda, dalam naskah-naskah dipercaya sungai ini satu bagian tubuh utuh, mulai dari hulu Gunung Pangrango itu terdapat fungsi-fungsi kosmologi anatomi tubuh, mata, hidung, jantung, paru-paru, tengah sampai ke muara hilir.
Okay, so in the understandings of the waterscapes in general, we liken the rivers from the springs actually, it's like a human body. So the springs actually is the head part, and then all the neck and the critical parts in the this part of the body and all that, all the way to the feet, we can observe, and they know exactly why this is not suitable for example, rice growing and for settlements and all these things.
Yeah.
And this is built in and inherited through generations.
Jadi kami percaya di atas dataran tinggi itu terdapat mata air dan merupakan gentong bumi untuk menyimpan DNA warga yang hidup sepanjang watershed di das tersebut.
Okay, and it's not just about the rivers, but actually the understandings, the indigenous understandings, actually sort of very firm belief that the head part, which is actually the forest and the mountains, actually sort of compiled and hold the DNA of all the living beings that got the life from the rivers.
Ya, kemudian sungai yang sekarang dipotong-potong oleh garis-garis wilayah politik negara. Kemudian kalau kami di Sungai Ciliwung itu dipotong-potong oleh administrasi kota dan kabupaten. Tentunya mereka punya kebijakan dan anggaran dan pengelolaan yang berbeda-beda antar pemerintah daerah.
Okay, so what we see as complete creatures, the water as it's not just respected morally and all that, but as real creatures, living creatures, now being chopped off by, for example, state jurisdictions, the province, the districts, and the cities, and all that.
Apalagi seperti yang terjadi di Mekong, bahwa ada bendungan-bendungan itu akan menutup mengalirnya nutrisi dan DNA untuk ke masyarakat di hilir.
Okay, so just like the Mekong, what we have been see the glimpse of the Mekong, the flow of this organic flow of the Mekong is actually being chopped off by all these dams, and so it blocks the flow of the DNA and energy from the Tibetan Plateau all the way to the Vietnamese Mekong Delta.
Jadi di saat ini saya membawa sedikit perkenalan kepada saudara-saudara di Mekong. Saya membawa sedikit air dari Sang Hyang Sira, dari gunung kami di mata air yang paling atas, untuk supaya Mekong bisa men-scan kehadiran kami di sini. Dan sebagai ini kami juga membawa air dari Mekong. Sedikit kami ini saya ambil di trip sungai kemarin di Jeram Naga, dan ini akan saya bawa pulang untuk dilarungkan ke hulu sungai kami supaya ada pertukaran pengetahuan, dan semangat kawan-kawan ini, DNA kawan-kawan di sini menyemangati kami.
Okay, so it's very interesting way of understandings. So Sudirman actually brought up with him here the waters that he took from the head parts of the sacred mountains in West Java, and he already shared the water into the Mekong near the Naga Rapids yesterday. And on rivers actually, he took these small bottles of Mekong water, and he will share it with the rivers on the islands, on the mountains. So there's connections not only between humans, but also with the whole flow of waters. Of course, this very ecological and macrocosmic understandings of how the waters actually got connected throughout the earth.
Di saat ini saya meminta izin untuk, semoga ini bukan kejahatan, saya membawa sedikit air Mekong, saya meminta izin untuk saya bawa pulang.
So he asked politely, humbly, ask your permissions to bring this small bottle of Mekong waters, not for souvenirs and all that, but to share the waters with the river waters in Indonesia.
Ya, terima kasih.
Thank you. Just a bit of this explaining. So Sira is actually the heads, and this is actually the gradations from so both the terrains and the forests and all that, all the way to Sang Hyang Dampal. Sang Hyang is like gods, but actually it's not an abstract way, and Dampal is actually the part of the feet. And so it's all very meticulous and very accumulated. Somebody cut the forest and all that. So this is more or less the very brief report, presentation audience. And so let me open just in case anyone would like to ask questions or share comments and all that, please. I'm not sure how many minutes do we have left. Finished? It's up, Ian. It's gone. Oh, yeah, it's plenty of them. It's past lunch, actually. As Ian. Oh, you? Okay.
I'm curious that some friend mentioned that EGAT from Thailand is also having a chair on the project. So could you, is there anyone know that what is the financial behind of the project? Because I wonder that, I mean, by law, EGAT is a state-owned, I mean state, and they couldn't invest in other country, but recently they tried to set up the company as EGAT International, and one of the investment is on the mining, coal mining in Indonesia, because at that time they're planning to have coal-fired power plant in Thailand, and they thought that they can take the coal that run by themselves, owned by themselves to supply. And I wonder that those two the coal-fired power plant couldn't build in Thailand. And I heard that they might have to quit the mining investment in Indonesia. And I wonder that how that link with the financial investment on them. And another point that I also noticed is sometimes EGAT are looking for the subcontract for operate and maintenance of the project rather than the kind of like financial investment. Because look like the share are very small.
Please, Merah.
Okay, yes, correctly. So the link between EGAT is to Adaro. Adaro is one of the biggest now coal mining producer in Indonesia. So not only that, Adaro now expanding the business sector, not only stop on coal, but also mixing with this hydropower and the biggest 30,000 hectare of green industrial park now in Indonesia. So that's the link, that's the connection between EGAT with Adaro. And the other information is the head of Adaro is Garibaldi Thohir, one of the tycoon, coal tycoon, coal oligarchy in Indonesia. His brother now is minister, not only in Jokowi era, the former president, but also the new president now under the Prabowo. So have a heavily political situation concerning about the Adaro. Maybe Masya, you want to adding some?
Just a little additions to what Merah just said. Actually, we actually now witnessing a very complex arrangements throughout the ASEAN member countries. What we have in Kalimantan, the two largest hydro dam projects, are linked also directly, for example, with Sarawak Energy. And so if we see the very scary Sarawak energy corridor, for example, it's all links and a lot of unexplained corruptions and illicit dealings. For example, the most recent scandal is just being exposed. The owners, one of the owners of the projects in Kayan Cascade Hydro Dam projects are now being in the detainment by the Indonesian Anti-Corruption Commissions. But this is not because the Commission does a very good job, but it's also it's a tug of war between groups of financiers. And of course, Wall Street are included, and so the privatizations with GATT, as you mentioned, GATT International and that, we follow very closely. And so it will be very interesting actually to start something probably in the future actually to share and comparing notes on this. Thank you. Okay, anyone else? Okay, so I think thank you so much then for the, oh yeah, there's.
Because no one raised any questions, so I take, I wonder that, I mean, I'm looking to maybe dimension that maybe when we can look at the future cooperation. Yeah, one is the, what we're talking about is a kind of like, I found out that the investments and financial investments become more like a connection, right? Because this is a kind of like a big infrastructure project. Of course, many projects that we're talking in these events, like in the morning we found out that in the room 1 about the tunnel of water diversion. Yeah, we still have a big question who will invest. And I heard story about the Chinese company also might be involved. But this is what I'm saying, that maybe another dimension of our region is the kind of the flow of the financial investment might be more function on the infrastructure investments such as dams or electricity. The second one is about the regional grid. So regional grid is not just infrastructure that will connect the region, but in my view, it's a flow of the investment interest too, who will, have more share on, the contract to build, who can sell how much electricity from where. I think that is a kind of like a long pushing from the ADB for our region. And I think they're more or less success in the sense that on the mainland, Southeast Asia, especially between the Mekong region, Laos and Thailand. But how to cross to the island path, I think that's a big question. So now I wonder that if they can start like IGAT going to do in Kalimantan, that is kind of like a next step. And if you're looking at the map of the regional grid, both electricity and gas pipeline, you can see that the route of connection, something like that.
Thank you. Okay, thank you so much for the sequel of the informations and comments. You know what? Actually, it's getting thicker. The twist. I mean, and the collusions. For example, now Indonesia got huge amounts of funds actually, even from private banks and public banks, put into a single mission-specific vehicles. It's called Danantara, and it's more than just sovereign wealth funds actually. it's huge amounts of money. And one of the first peoples being asked to consult and actually involve in the setup of this Danantara funds, guess who? Thaksin. So we also surprised that actually just now we see that he's also being now taken back in. And so it's very complex underwritings of all these contracts, and nobody knows, particularly ordinary people, on the grounds. And they do something meaningful, like the joke on the UNCTAD, for example. It's simply stands for under no circumstances take any decisions. So just to remind us, actually, the Australia now using this undersea pipelines and all that, start exporting its electricity to link with the ASEAN energy grid. And about 15 years ago, actually, the MP3EI, the Master Plans for Indonesian Economic Expansion, actually already got very ambitious corridorizations of the whole country, and it linked directly with the Mekong and all these corridors and the mainland. And very interestingly, actually, we underestimate the role of Japan in all this, not only through the ADB, but Japan as a new, I would say, energy and extractivist imperialisms in the regions. I give you an example. One of the most recent innovations is actually the setup of AZEC, Asian Zero Emissions Community. So very interestingly, because the announcements of Japan's AZEC actually is sort of being confronted with the agreement during the G20 summit in Bali 2 years ago, that really try to control the energy productions and consumptions in the country using sort of pledges by the Jokowi president at the times, but actually it's something like forced decisions setting up by the big banks. And now Japan is, intervening into the schemes and actually link the regions, the Mekong regions and Indonesia particularly. So before this Mekong ASEAN Environmental Week ends, the last day, it will be very, very, I do hope actually we can sit at the corner and all that, try to share more about this, because friends here are very knowledgeable about what's happening on the ground. Thank you. Okay, so that's it, I think.
So yeah, so maybe we have our friends, the team from Latin America, cover the issues that they prepared first, and then later on, all the speakers will come here just to sit and spend the last part to discuss further. All right? Yes, please, Leticia and Winnie. We have slides.
Yeah, I sent to.
We have lots of microphone there already. In that case, I think maybe you should move a little bit side so that people can see the screen.
É melhor, né? Eu uso slides também, acho que não demora.
เขาบอกว่าถ้าเบอร์เล็กถ้าเล็กกว่านี้ผมจะเอาไซส์ L เขาไปซัดแบบหดอีก
มีหดเสื้อคุยแม่ไม่เคยหดจ้ะถูกโอ้eu vou acelerando desespero
อ๋อน้องเรียบร้อยแล้วใช่
Good afternoon, everyone.
ราชการพอเขาลงแล้วก็เลยฉีดแล้วก็ของเราบรรจัยไป
I think I have a presentation.
คือใช่ครับไป2,000 คือ 1,900
Mas a gente pode.
ผมพรุ่งนี้ใช่
I have some presentation, but it's not. I will speak the first one, many times. I can begin. So, good afternoon, everyone. I am Letícia from Brazil. I am part of the movement of people affected by dams in Latin America and in Brazil. And I have some pictures, but I don't use these pictures now, so I will begin to speak, and after we show the pictures. In Brazil and in Latin America, we suffer the same problems, damages, and violations that you suffer here in Thailand, in Southeast Asia, and in Asia. Dams, floods, mining, drought, contamination of land, water, and air, lack of fish, change in river levels, destruction of houses, destruction of territories and livelihoods, health problems, high electricity bills, threats, persecution, violation of women's rights. All these situations we have there in Brazil, unfortunately. Because of these problems, of these violations, the affected people in Brazil began to organize 40 years ago. They came together, the affected people 40 years ago came together and organized themselves at the community level. They quickly understood that it was important to establish a relationship with other communities facing the same problems, affected by the same dam or even by another dam, but on the same river or in a river in the same basin. So the people affected began to organize at local and regional level, sometimes according to the river basin. Even so, the problems and violations continued. They need to go to the provincial level to put pressure on the government. In this movement, they have understood that other people have been affected by other dams in the province. They have suffered the same violations. The companies haven't taken the same actions in their communities to demobilize people, to confuse people. So when they saw the same problems and the same violations, the same action of the companies, and the same companies often affecting different people, they all come together to create a provincial movement. This provincial movement has more people involved than the movement at the local level and talks about many affected regions. The problem is not just one community. The problem is one that many people suffer from, and the company and the government need to respond to many people. This provincial movement is stronger than the local one. So, this is the image of the movement. You can go next slide. We have some pictures about the problems, some violations we are facing there. This is a hydropower dam called Belo Monte. Vini will talk more about this dam after me. So this dam is one of the biggest dams in the world. This dam generates 7,000 megawatts of energy. You can go the next slide. This is a picture about the drought situation. This Belo Monte hydropower dam caused many species and died because of the drought situations in some areas that the construction of the dam caused in the region. Is in the Amazon region, this dam. Can go next. And this is a picture about the same hydropower dam that flood many areas that people use to their livelihoods, their houses. So these young people in the tree and want to use the area but cannot use anymore. And this is the resettlement the company did for the people, because some houses were in the flood area of the dam. So the company did this resettlement, but we can see how the houses are near each another, and it's not how the people live there in the rural area, with the river in the garden. So it's so different livelihood the company put to the people. Yeah, now I will speak more. You can continue. Yeah, next. So this is the region next where I live, close where I live. There in Brazil, in Minas Gerais, is a mining dam that broke 10 years ago, destroying 3 communities. Next. This destruction caused by this mining dam also. Next. And this is another mining dam in another city that broke after the first one. This is the mining. In the moment that mining was broken, the fuel of this moment. Next. And this is the destruction. The bridge was destroyed by the mud of this mining dam. Yeah. We will stop here a little, and I will continue to talk. This is one of our struggles there in Brazil. I will talk more about it. So in that time, when I stopped to talk here, the people in Brazil goes to the local level, to the regional level, to provincial level of the movement. So in AGTIS, we had a regional movement of affected people in 4 regions of Brazil. So the people affected in that time began to think about the need to create a national movement, because the problems and the violations were repeated all over the country. The affected people visited other areas around the country and saw the impacts in the regional organizations. The affected made many moments of exchange experiences. And they decided to organize the first national meeting of people affected. And in this national meeting, they decided to organize themselves in only one movement, called Movement of People Affected by Dams. And in the next 2 years, after this first meeting, in the next 2 years, they did the first national congress of this national movement on March 1991. So since 1991, we have in Brazil a national movement of people affected. And why they organize in this national level? The companies were often the same in different regions of the country and act in the same way to misleading the people affected. And the national level is important also because of the exchange between the affected people. One community learned how to struggle with another. In addition, they saw that some regions were affected by a dam, and after many years were affected again by a mining or floods or wind farm like we saw yesterday here. So they learned that it's not enough to organize for one situation. They need to organize all the time, and they need to fight not only for their rights, but also for changes in the energy and mining model, for changes in society, because this society always generates new projects that will affect new people, because people and life are not the center of this society. Because of this, the affected people learn they need to organize in the national level. So we have some pictures about these struggles in regional and national level. This one is in the Amazon region, about the dams in the Amazon region. You can put next. This one is in southeast Brazil, water and energy with sovereignty, richness distribution, and under popular control. You can go next. So, at the end of the 90s, the idea of an international movement of people affected by dams emerged. So the people began to think about an international movement of people affected by dams. So here we have some historical steps. We'll talk about them. And so the end of 90s, here is 1997, the idea of an international movement of people affected by dams emerged, which have even helped to organize the World Dam Commission that concluded there are 16 human rights violations that occur where there is a dam, showing that the violations caused by dams are quite similar around the world. So why did people start thinking about organize at international level? It's a question for us to think. Some answers, but not all the answers. People want to organize at the international level because the violations are the same, the companies and their actions are the same, and because the companies work together with each company. The companies work together among them, and with the states, with the governments, at an international level, because the corporations and groups that build the dams are operating jointly with the international capitalist system. The company that affects me in Brazil, called Vale, is a Brazilian mining company that also owns many hydroelectric dams. Vale has activities in more than 30 countries, including Indonesia. Thai companies, like we already said here, Thai companies have activities in Indonesia related to the fake green solutions. So, if companies are united among themselves and cause destructions in many parts of the world, act in the similar ways around the world, protect themselves, create laws to protect themselves, the people affected need to unite and think together about how to act in a global level. So with this, we go to the image talking about the first international, so people decide to organize, to articulate in an international level, and in 1997 was the first international meeting of people affected by dams that was in Brazil, and we did the declaration of 14th of March as an international day of the struggle against dams, defend the rivers and the life. So it's the first international meeting. After that, we did in 2000 3, the second international meeting of people affected by dams here in Thailand, in Salai. And one message was, another energy and water management model is possible. Waters for life, not for death. And in 2010, we did the third international meeting of people affected by dams in Temacapulín, Mexico. Temacapulín was a place that one hydropower dam was planned to be built. So we did the international meeting there to put pressure to not the construction of the dam. And the message was and continue the message here in Salai, another energy and water management model is possible. Waters for life, not for death. Water and energy are not commodities. Free rivers to feed people. And after that, we didn't do an international meeting, but we in American continent began to talk more about create an international movement of people affected by them. So over the last 15 years, in 2016, we have started to build an international movement of people affected on the American continent. Launch of the movement of people affected by dams in America. Let your fist be raised, let your hand be raised, let the Latin American people rise up. Is the message. This movement, we take part, we have in Americas, not only in South America now, but in South America, Central America, and North America. We have a movement that is made up of regional and national movements of affected people that want to unite and organize with other movements on an international level. In recent years, we have started to involve movements of people affected in other countries, in other continents. So we are now talking with people affected organizations of affected people in Africa, in Europe, and we came here to Thailand and get in touch with the Indonesian people to invite the people affected, the movements of people affected in Asia, to be part of this movement of people affected by dams in an international level. So here we are to invite you, affected people and affected movements, to take part in an international movement of people affected by dams, but not only by dams. We are talking about climate crisis and other problems also. You can put the next. So is the image of the movement, but now we are talking about how to change this image, because this image shows only the Latin America here. Now you need to change, to rethink, to rebuild the movement, to talk about all the continents, not only America. Here are some of the activities of the movement doing Panama, resisting of mining activities there in Panama for water and for life. Go next. This one is in Brazil, the approval of a national law about the rights of people affected into 2023. Next. This one in Cuba, about biogas user movement there, creating alternative of energy for the people. This one is a river near my house that go free without them because of the resistance of the people. And we have an experience of generating solar energy together with affected people, which provides a discount on their electricity bills. There are 3,000 photovoltaic panels installed on the lake of a hydropower dam that generate energy for 1,200 affected families. This image is, we put pressure in the government. This dam is the government is property of the government of our province, so we put pressure and we can guarantee the solar power plant for the people affected in this region. This is some work with women that we do in Brazil and other countries in Latin America, where women can put our histories, our struggles, our problems in a beautiful way. These are the women that we lost in the struggles. These 4 women are Brazilian women, and this one is Honduras women that lost their lives in the struggles. They were killed by the companies, by the government, when struggling against them in our continent. And our struggle is for life. Next. So here we have our banner of the 4th International Meeting of Communities Affected by Dams and Climate Crisis. We will do the 4th International Meeting of People Affected. This meeting will be in Brazil this year on November, from 7th to 12th November, in the Brazilian Amazon region. So we are here also to invite people, affected people, to go to Brazil, to talk more with us about how to organize and how to participate of the 4th International Meeting of Communities Affected by Dams, Climate Crisis, floods, and other problems we face. Here there is a message here, marching for a society that offers an alternative to capitalism, for popular energy sovereignty, and for the rights of affected communities. So is the message we want to build with this international movement. In this international meeting, we will launch the international movement, the construction of an international movement, because the movement is not already done, is not already finished. We need to construct this movement with us, affected people in many countries, in many continents. So now, in October 1st, we continue here one more day in Acompanhon to make a meeting to talk about how we can, in Asia, organize more, unite more, and create a continental movement of affected here in Asia, and how to articulate the struggles in Asia in an international level. So we invite people here affected to continue to us in October 1st to talk more about this. And to end, because I speak much, I want to hear some questions from you, but I want also to put some questions to you and to me reflect. So, how to unite more and organize together the affected people in Asia? Now we are already organized in a basin level, how we can see here in Mel, and even more than in basin level. There are people from other parts of Asia here. It's a very good achievement. But how to unite more than we have now? How to organize together more in Asia is a question to our reflections here and after here. And why it is important to organize more, unite more, and how to do it. How to do it in our country, in our continent, in our region, and how to connect our struggles with an international movement of people affected. Is some questions I want you to think, and maybe you can discuss. Thank you so much.
Good afternoon. My name is Winnie. I'm from the World Rainforest Movement. I will not have any PowerPoint, so you can rest. It's amazing, the image. Yeah. How is our translator doing? Okay. Okay. Okay, so now a little bit what Laetitia was saying. I want to talk a bit about this event for you to understand how this is happening and to reflect a bit the same question, how to strengthen the struggle of the community. How can this kind of collaboration help communities to advance with the struggle? Many challenges, right? Many challenges. And I want to reflect a bit, not so organized, but exactly because it's such a big challenge, but just some ideas. So this, just to start, this event is a result of, there's a story behind this event. So we were in Indonesia, in Kalimantan, getting the news about very big hydro dams being built. And nobody knows about hydro dam. What is a hydro dam? What kind of impact? So together we made a connection with the movement of Laetitia in Brazil. I knew about this movement and the hydro dams. So we had a session by computer online. So they shared a bit about how they worked with the communities to strengthen resistance. And after that, the people, Mira, Tere, Yoyok, they went to visit the communities and they wanted to learn more. They said, actually, we have never seen a dam. What is a dam? So then we thought straight about the Mekong and Thailand. So long story of struggle, right? Pak Mun. So then the people here of Pak Mun, they know us already. We cannot talk with each other, we need translator, but we know a little bit about each other's struggle because we have been here in February to exchange. And well, there are many more chapters of this story, but this is a little bit the 2 years like interaction we had. But still the question, how can we advance? How can we make a collaboration together how can we learn together to advance our struggles? I think there are many, maybe 2 ways, 2 levels to think of strength and struggle with this international work, which is not easy. Huh? Ask to our translator here is not easy because we need to translate. We need all the time think of you are with the headphones and you're not getting everything, maybe what I say, because there is a translator in the way. It's quite difficult. But I was here in February and we went to see Pak Mun Dam, we saw other dams, and the first impression, they look quite the same like Belo Monte Dam in Brazil. It's a big wall, isn't it? There are people affected by the dam. The fishery and the river goes down. So it looks, first impression, quite the same. The second impression, there is a huge amount of things we can learn from each other, right? For example, in the Amazon, we have now in Brazil about 30 big dams. The first one built like 30, 40 years ago. And the very first one was built because of the bauxite processing, you know, for aluminium. In the fake green, they talk a lot about aluminium. Aluminium is so important, and now we're going to do it clean. And in Kalimantan, Mira doing also bauxite processing. So we can learn some very simple things like what is bauxite processing about? In the Amazon, we know everything about that. There are communities affected. In Kalimantan, they are building it. So we can connect knowledge. Yeah, we can acquire more knowledge about this. We also learn, listen, this electricity from dams is not for the people. Huh? It's for big industry. All the new dams, we have 30 new dams planned in the Amazon. They are not for the people. We just learned from Thailand is a surplus energy, electricity generation. And it's linked to so much extractive industry, huh? And it's linked to a much bigger, a much bigger group of communities that are affected indirectly by these dams. It's also a big challenge for us. How can we connect the struggles beyond the dams? Can we not make a much bigger struggle altogether? What's more, yeah. What we have learned in the Amazon with Belo Monte, Leticia showed, this is the biggest infrastructure project in Brazil. It's maybe today something like $15 billion. It is funded with public money. So all of this, we have been paying for this. The profit has been going to the companies building the dam. Nowadays, we can learn a lot from each other about who actually is benefiting in terms of, and who is staying with the debt. Because companies are building the dams, they only do it if they can make profit. Who is paying for the profit? We heard today already about high electricity tariff in Thailand. Yeah. In Brazil, we also have very high electricity tariff. This is another area to get more knowledge, to show when we talk about the dams in Thailand, or we talk in Indonesia, we talk in Brazil, we can talk about Brazil, we can also mention Thailand, what is happening in Thailand with the people. It makes our discourse much stronger. Just as the Thailand people can talk about what's happening in Brazil. One other thing, when I was in Pakmun, we were told that Pakmun electricity is so little. It's maybe enough for one mall in Bangkok or 2 malls. One mall, huh? One big mall. Belo Monte is the biggest dam, the second biggest in Brazil, but the biggest dam project of the past 20, 30 years. Nowadays, only 3% of national electricity is generated by Belo Monte. 3% only. This has a reason, because we are talking about fake green, and the reason of fake green has to do with all the destruction of the forest, of the water, and also of the climate. And the Amazon is the biggest forest in the world. It's being destroyed, and we have impact of climate change. So just as probably in your region, Indonesia is getting drier. And research shows that the water level in Brazil in the rivers is going down. It's going slowly down. You know, when they built the dams, they show these impact studies, right? Environmental impact studies in Thailand, Indonesia. If you look at the studies, in Brazil and probably in Thailand, probably Indonesia, they use statistic. Though they show in 1980 it was so much rain, 1990, 2000. It's absolutely irrelevant. Because this is the past. We are in a process of destroying the climate, right? The climate is collapsing. In the Amazon, in the past 5 years, we had the 2 biggest dry periods in history. So rivers completely dried out. And Belo Monte functioned at a capacity of maybe 1 or 2% of its capacity. It almost damaged the turbines. So what I mean to say, this is also a very strong argument for us to share knowledge about how crazy it is nowadays to plan more dams. We learned from the video from Thailand, this new dam project is one reason needs to be stopped. It doesn't make sense, and we cannot even foresee what kind of impact it will give. Because now the future is at stake. We cannot come with statistics from the past to argue for the dam. Give a little rest to the translator to see my not so organized notes. Yeah, I mentioned that. And talking about climate change, still, the dams, they are mentioned, they are called clean dams. They are clean dams because they would be renewable energy, they would not emit carbon, right? Carbon emission. Because, you use the water, you generate energy from the water. One more way of exchanging the knowledge is that actually we learned in the Amazon that dams, they can even be like Yoyok said from Indonesia, they can even be worse for the climate than using gas or other fossil fuel. It's actually carbon dioxide, yeah, is one greenhouse gas, and also methane is. Dams can be a very big emitter are a very big emitter of methane. The methane is very much more damaging for the climate than the carbon dioxide. And the methane is formed deep in the reservoir. When you make the wall, you flood the vegetation. It's getting very deep in the reservoir. The methane is formed. It goes through the turbine, yeah. Because it's deep in the water, that water goes to the turbine. And then after the turbine, it's emitted. It can be, they are still studying how much more damaging methane is than carbon dioxide. But there are studies like showing it's 80 times more damaging. And it's emitted. In 2011, in these climate conferences that are talking about climate change, but not deciding to leave the oil and the coal and the gas in the hole, to stop burning fossil fuels. They did a study on hydro dams and if they were good renewable energy. They concluded hydro dams the best renewable energy. The best renewable energy in the world. 2 details. You know who participated? All the industry that make money from hydro dams. They were part of the study. And the second detail that has to do with the first is that they ignored the studies that showed that dams are emitting carbon dioxide, are emitting methane. They are doing damage to the climate, so they are dirty energy. And not so long ago, the first long study in a dam in French Guiana, is also in the Amazon region, 20 years of study. And they compared using the renewable energy, they say, from the dam, or using gas, fossil fuel, to generate electricity. And after 20 years, they found that the dam was 14 times more damaging for the climate than the fossil fuel gas. This information is just ignored at the international level, but we must tell the story. We must, I know the main researcher in the Amazon who has participated in research, he has suffered He is completely ignored by, because we must, and it's very important in another thing I want to mention from the Amazon, a concrete experience of how community try to counter the information from the company. It's very important to, when we talk about academics working together with companies to produce information, that we have other academics, including several here in the room, who are committed with the communities and want to work with the community. For example, Belo Monte Dam, biggest dam in the Amazon. This year, the people, the fisher folk, the local people, went to the street. They blockade because they cannot find fish in the river anymore. The fishery has gone down. They were not surprised that when they went on the street, just like I think in Thailand, in Indonesia, the police came. And the police in Brazil, very violent, very repressive. They were expecting that. But they were really surprised by a press release of the company that run Belo Monte, and they said, no impact on fishery. After 10 years of Belo Monte, no impact. You know what they say? Still the same proportion of adult fish. Still the same proportion of adult fish. No extinction of fish. Said, no impact on fish. So the fisher folk, they read the press release. They really were amazed by that. It's not the first time. What they are doing there is they formed, they call it independent monitoring of what is happening with the river, fisher folk, together with friends in the academy. Because the company, energy company, they have a study, they bring out study with the logo of the university. They have a contract with the university, big money. The university can build laboratory, can invest, and some professors getting big money. Because in Brazil we have the access to public information, so we discovered a contract with the university. All the people participating, 20 years of secrecy on the information they find. They cannot publish in their own publications. Only the company can publish. And every publication, it has the university logo. Obligation, university logo. A lot of money. So there are several academics, they are angry about that. So they joined the community and they come with counter-research. Listen, first argument of the company. Proportion of adult fish, the same. They don't mention how much fish in the river. Because the fisher folk, and that is what the academics have helped to bring out the figures. First, they went out fishing, and they could catch like 50 to 100 kilos of one fish. And many, many fish, like in the Mekong. The Xingu River, this river is extremely rich river. Nowadays, they come back with maybe 2 kilo, maybe 6 kilo, after a much longer time. Nowadays, the community, they are almost not eating fish. Because they cannot go to the restaurant to eat the fish because it comes from another region. They don't have the fish, they don't have the money. But you understand the difference between with the companies still, because if you have 1,000 fish in the river or 10 fish, maybe still the proportion of adult is the same. But the amount has decreased. The temperature of the water has increased. The oxygen of the river has decreased. And all these figures, they are in the reports of the independent monitoring. And it's very important to expose what is happening in there. I can tell you many more stories, but these are all things I think we can learn from each other. We can make use. I think the academics that help the communities, they can connect to exchange, and we can make a stronger resistance. I will finish with one more reflection I think is important. And I think it was Yoyok who mentioned it. Yeah. There we have another experience when the Belo Monte Dam was built. The first time people stopped the dam. But I think if we talk about our exchange, it's not about, for example, exchange the victory of a community who stopped the dam, because it's very difficult. It's very difficult to stop the dam. Eventually, community stopped the dam, and it's a very inspiring story. But the Belo Monte Dam, it's there. The Pakmun is there. So many dams are there. The dams in Indonesia, most probably they will come. It's very difficult to stop. But in this process of resistance, what we learn is that the people, they stay. Today I heard again several times, we are here. I think people from Pakmun said, we are still here. We are still struggling against the dam. And in this process, in Brazil, also Belo Monte, people are still there, and they resist. And they try to build solidarity in many ways. And one way, because there are many indigenous people, I want to tell you one story. One indigenous people went to visit another people that we work with. They have many problems in their territory with mining. They have a carbon project. And they went there to ask for solidarity for a big mobilization. And they heard about the dam and the impacts. And you know what they said? If the dam is so damaging for you, we don't want that electricity. Actually, we don't want electricity provided by these companies. And I just want to read a few lines of what they say. These are the Kaapor people in the Amazon. What they say about this hydro dam energy. Actually, what they say about electricity. They say it's dirty energy. Clean energy for us is energy without damaging impacts. Yeah. Electricity brings problems for us because we have gone already through this experience. Too much light, too much noise, too much alcoholism. Not a good thing for the community. Electricity is like money. We don't know how to use it. It's not part of our culture. Actually, it's an invention of energy is an invention of fossil fuel capitalism. It's something quite new. No? That's what I'm saying this. Yeah, this sentence. Continue with the testimony of the indigenous people. They say we use a bit of solar energy to charge our cell phones and to briefly connect with others, because we want to keep up with the news and we need to transmit some information. So in that way, we use the phones, but very carefully. Where I lived before, in another village, energy and cell phones, they took over everything. And there in that other village, there is no agreement about how are we going to coexist with electricity. And now there's nothing else there. There's no struggle anymore there. And that's why I came to this village that doesn't have energy. And yeah, that's part of the testimony I just wanted to share, because I think that's one other dimension of the struggle against hydro dams. It's very important to think about energy, to think about electricity. These people, they have this agreement among themselves of the coexistence with the things that they deal with from the outside world in order to strengthen the culture, the autonomy, and the struggle of the people. Thank you.
Now we can open to questions and comments if someone wants. We have some minutes for this yet. Someone?
Thank you for this. I wanted to ask on the slide of MAR what popular energy sovereignty means for you.
So for us, in the movement of people affected by dams, we want to build another society where sovereignty and water and energy are under popular control. We think that it's important. The discussion is not about the technology of a dam or of a wind farm or fossil fuels. Our discussion is about the right of the people and the ecological thing about it. So if the people can manage how they want to use water and energy, how they want to produce water and energy, and how they distribute water, energy, and use it. This is the question. People need to be in the center of the management of these things, water, energy, these goods. So is the point. We only will not have affected people if we change the society to another society that the people can decide how to use water and energy, where will build a dam, if it's necessary, build a dam, where we will build, where not, people can decide, need to decide. This is about what you think, how to people in the urban areas access energy without pay for it. It's other point of popular control and sovereignty of the country, but not only the country how we have here today, but sovereignty of the people, popular sovereignty to decide how to use the things, the environment we have in our regions. So it's a big objective. We have also, together with the other objectives, to defend the affected rights and change and create alternatives in the model of energy and water. And mining also.
Thank you. Thanks for the presentations. My name is Hemanta Vitanaga. I'm from Sri Lanka. I know there's not many chances for the South Asians to share their stories, but in my country, I think almost 103 rivers now dammed for either big hydro projects or small hydro projects. And from this morning, we saw how the biodiversity has been destroyed, and almost it has happened in my country. And across South Asia, India, there were so many big struggles like campaign against Narmada and many others in Pakistan, Bangladesh, even in Central Asia. So many of these rivers are already dammed, and now people are going into the next level because these dams are now again used for solar power, and there are many other different projects are coming. So when it comes to the community rights, we almost lost these rights. Now, it was a very live campaign at some point, maybe about 10, 20 years ago, but we have already lost this campaign. So I think it's very important for us to understand where we are moving with the new campaign and how do we bring the communities together, at least to protect the remaining running rivers, because it's not about our rights, but also the rights of the nature, and to bring these kind of new notions So we need to build a new campaign across our part in South Asia as well. So I think maybe it's a moment for us to think about how to bring all these different communities together. It's not necessarily the large dams, but also maybe there are small dams also affecting the community. So I think, so we need a new narrative to build these communities together, and I'm fully with you. So we, in our region also, we want to contribute to these new initiatives of building the campaign against the dams. Thank you so much.
More?
Thank you very much for your very enlightening talk. I have a question to Winnie and Misha about the historical data used in EIA. But still we're using the very old data that isn't going to be quite useful or even represent what's reality. How are we to sort of campaigning or try to talk to the government or professionals and business in terms of really incorporating and reflecting what happened, quite recent climate data, to have, if any, development project to come to the local, and how are we to argue or put forward our case? Do you have any sort of idea or strategy to engage them or enlighten them or teach them? If you have any sort of case or any concrete examples you have done, would you like to share? I'll very much like to hear.
No, these more committed academics with communities. For example, in Brazil, they have a discussion that, I don't know in your countries, but this environmental impact assessment, that often, we try to get a copy always, no, of this. But they are a problem in itself, in the way they are being formulated. There is no participation whatsoever of communities. Environmental impact assessment, so they might indeed preview some impacts. And when they happen in practice, normally the company just, and the government also say, okay, the impacts that were foreseen, they are happening. So thank you very much, and we can continue with the work. So they are defending like a very different way to do the impact assessment, and maybe there is a sort of momentum now, because more and more scientists concerned, for example, about the Amazon is slowly transforming into a sort of savanna, and it's going much faster than they thought. So, I mean, the 30 dams that are still planned, quite big dams, what about the environmental impact assessment? Can it be done in the same way? So I think that, this environmental impact assessment is one way, connecting with the climate debate to try to propose a different way of looking at these projects. And very important, engaging the community from the very beginning, with the right, of course, to say no, which is a very big issue in Brazil, because we signed this convention of the ILO that communities have the right to be consulted about large-scale projects. This is not in many other countries, but something we should maybe also globalize, universalize as a universal right of communities need to be. I think in Indonesian law, actually, there is as Mira explained to me, that there are some articles, maybe you can comment, that people have the right to reject projects that can be harmful for their life and this and that. So I think there's, in different ways, it's time, momentum to question.
You can
ค่ะต้องขอบคุณนะคะจริงๆขอบคุณทั้งอินโดนีเซียและบราซิลที่ได้ให้ข้อมูลแล้วก็ขอบคุณกับการเชิญที่จะประสานการสร้างเครือข่ายเนาะมีความสนใจในประเด็นของบราซิลเรื่องกฎหมายอยากรู้ว่ากฎหมายที่บอกว่าคุ้มครองผู้ที่ได้รับผลกระทบในการสร้างเขื่อนเนี่ยเป็นการคุ้มครองก่อนที่จะมีการสร้างเขื่อนหรือว่าหลังการสร้างเขื่อนนะคะอันนี้ประเด็นที่หนึ่งค่ะแล้วก็อีกประเด็นหนึ่งก็คือเรื่องของไม่ทราบว่าแผนพัฒนาพลังงานของบราซิลน่ะมีการสำรองไฟฟ้าไว้มากน้อยแค่ไหนนะคะค่ะขอบคุณค่ะ
So, about the law, about the affected people, the law talks about the rights during and before, but more during and after the construction of the dam. If the company and the government want to build a dam, what they need to do? They need to talk with the people, they need to establish a committee with people affected, talk about the dam before the construction, but the rights in the law are about what the companies and the government need to guarantee to the people to building the dam. So it's an organization, some points, how to build the dam, what rights the company needs to guarantee. So it's this. About saying no to the dams, it's like Vin said, it's more difficult in Brazil. It's very difficult in Brazil. Some experience I saw and I heard, people who say no to stop the dam need to do many demonstrations and go to the governments and with many people to stop the dam. In fact, 2-3 cases I knew, and people talks about there. And the second question. Yeah. Brazil has a generator energy plan. I don't know now, but we